land. And now, son of man, prophesy to the mountains of Israel. Say, mountains of Israel, listen to God's message. God the Master says, because the enemy crowded over you, good. Those hills are now ours. Now, here's a prophecy in the name of God the Master, because nations came at you from all sides, ripping and plundering, hauling pieces of you off every which way, and you've become the butt of cheap gossip and jokes. Therefore, mountains of Israel, listen to the message of God the Master. My message to the mountains and hills, to ditches and valleys, to the heaps of rubble, and the empty towns that are looted for plunder, turned into jokes by all surrounding nations. Therefore, says God the Master, now I'm speaking in a fiery rage against the rest of the nations, but especially against Edom, who in an orgy of violence and shameless insolence robbed me of my land, grabbed it for themselves. Therefore, prophesy over the land of Israel, preach to the mountains and hills, to every ditch and valley. The message of God the Master, look, I'm angry and I care. I'm speaking to you because you've been humiliated among the nations. Therefore, I, God the Master, am telling you that I've solemnly sworn that the nations around you are next. It's their turn to be humiliated. But you, mountains of Israel, will burst with new growth, putting out branches and bearing fruit for my people Israel. My people are coming home. Do you see? I'm back again. I'm on your side. You'll be plowed and planted as before. I'll see to it that your population grows all over Israel, that the towns fill up with people, that the ruins are rebuilt. I'll make this place teem with life, human and animal. The country will burst into life, life and more life. Your towns and villages full of people, just in the old days. I'll treat you better than I ever have, and you'll realize that I am God. I'll put people over you, my own people Israel. They'll take care of you, and you'll be their inheritance. Never again will you be a harsh and unforgiving land to them. God the Master says, because you have a reputation of being a land that eats people alive and makes women barren, I'm now telling you that you'll never eat people alive again or make women barren. Decree of God the Master, and I'll never again let the taunt of outsiders be heard over you, nor permit nations to look down on you. You'll no longer be a land that makes women barren. Decree of God the Master. God's message came to me, son of man, when the people of Israel lived in their land, they polluted it by the way they lived. I poured out my anger on them because of the polluted blood they poured out on the ground. And so I got thoroughly angry with them, polluting the country with their wanton murders and dirty gods. I kicked them out, exiled them to other countries. I sentenced them according to how they live. Wherever they went, they gave me a bad name. People said, these are God's people, but they got kicked out of the land. I suffered much pain over my holy reputation, which the people of Israel blackened in every country they entered. Therefore, tell Israel, message of God the Master, I'm not doing this for you, Israel. I'm doing it for me, to save my character, my holy name, which you've blackened in every country where you've gone. I'm going to put a great and holy name on display, the name that has been ruined in so many countries, the name that you blackened wherever you went. Then the nations will realize who I really am, that I am God, when I show my holiness to you so that they can see it through their own eyes. For here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take you out of these countries, gather you from all over, and bring you back to your own land. I'll pour pure water over you and scrub you clean. I'll give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I'll move the stone from your body and replace it with a heart that's God-willed and not self-willed. I'll put my spirit in you and make it possible for you to do what I tell you and live by my commands. You once again live in the land I gave your ancestors. You'll be my people. I'll be your God. I'll pull you out of that stinking pollution. I'll give you personal orders to the wheat fields, telling them to grow bumper crops. I'll send no more famines. I'll make your fruit trees and field crops flourish. Other nations won't be able to hold you into contempt again because of famine. And then you look back over your terrible lives, the evil, the shame, and be thoroughly disgusted with yourselves, realizing how badly you lived, all those obscenities you've carried out. I'm not doing this for you. Get this through your thick head. Shame on you. What a mess you've made of things, Israel. A message of God the Master, on the day I scrub you clean from all your filthy living. I'll make your cities livable. The ruins will be rebuilt. The neglected land will be worked again, no longer overgrown with weeds and thistles. Worthless in the eyes of passerby, people will exclaim, why, this weed patch has turned into a Garden of Eden, and the ruined cities smashed into oblivion now are thriving. The nations around you that are still in existence will realize that I, God, rebuild ruins and replant empty waste places. I, God, said so, and I'll do it. Message of God the Master. Yet again, I'm going to do what Israel asks. I'll increase their population as with a flock of sheep, like the million flocks of sheep brought for sacrifices. In Jerusalem, through the appointed feast, the ruined cities will be filled with flocks of people, and they'll realize that I am God. Ezekiel 37, breath of life. God grabbed me. God's spirit took me up and set me down in the middle of an open plain strewn with bones. He led me around, and among them a lot of bones. There were all bones all over the plain, dry bones, bleached by the sun. He said to me, son of man, can these bones live? I said, Master God, only you know that. He said to me, prophesy over these bones. Dry bones, listen to the message of God. God the Master told the dry bones, watch this. I'm bringing the breath of life to you, and you'll come to life. I'll attach sinews to you, put meat on your bones, cover you with skin, and breathe life into you. You'll come alive, and you realize that I am God. I prophesied just as I had been commanded. As I prophesied, there was a sound and rustling. The bones moved and came together, bone to bone. I kept watching. Sinews formed, then muscles on the bones, and skin stretched over them, but they had no breath in them. He said to me, son of man, prophesy. He said to me, prophesy. Prophesy, son of man, tell the breath. God the Master says, come from the four winds. Come, breathe on these slain bodies. Breathe life. So I prophesied just as he commanded me. The breath entered them, and they came alive. They stood up on their feet, a huge army. And God said to me, son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Listen to what they're saying. Our bones are dried up. Our hope is gone. There's nothing left of us. Therefore prophesy, tell them, God the Master says, I'll dig up your graves and bring you out alive, O my people, and I'll take you straight to the land of Israel. When I dig up graves and bring you out as my people, you realize that I am God. I'll breathe my life into you and you'll live. Then I'll lead you straight back to your land, and you realize that I am God. I've said it and I'll do it. God's decree. God's message came to me, you son of man, take a stick and write on it for Judah with his Israelite companions. Then take another stick and write on it for Joseph, Ephraim's stick, together with all his Israelite companions. Then tie the two sticks together so that you're holding one stick. When your people ask you, are you going to tell us what you're doing? Tell them, God the Master says, watch me. I'll take Joseph's stick, that is Ephraim's hand, with the tribes of Israel connected with him, and lay the Judah stick on it. I'll make them into one stick. I'm holding one stick. Then take the sticks you've inscribed and hold them up to the people so they can see them. Tell them, God the Master says, watch me. I'm taking Israelites out of the nations in which they've been exiled. I'll gather them in from all directions and bring them back home. I'll make them one nation in the land on the mountains of Israel and give them one king over all of them. Never again will they be divided into two nations, two kingdoms. Never again will they pollute their lives with the no-God idols. All those vile obscenities and rebellions, I'll save them out of their old sinful haunts. I'll clean them up. They'll be my people. I'll be their God. My servant David will be king over them. They'll all be under one shepherd. They'll follow my laws and keep my statutes. They'll live in the same land I gave my servant Jacob, the land where your ancestors lived. They and their children and their grandchildren will live there forever, and my servant David will be their prince forever. I'll make a covenant of peace with them that will hold everything together, an everlasting covenant. I'll make them secure and place my holy place of worship at the center of their lives forever. I'll live right there with them. I'll be their God. They'll be my people. The nations will realize that I, God, make Israel holy when my holy place of worship is established at the center of their lives forever. Okay, I don't see the button that lets me go to Ezekiel 38. So guess what? There's more than one way to skin a cat. Just put it in there. All right, Ezekiel 38, God against Gog. God against Gog. God's message came to me, son of man, confront Gog from the country of Magog, head of Meshach and Tubal, prophesy against him, say, God the Master says, be warned, Gog, I'm against you, head of Meshach and Tubal. I'm going to turn you around, put hooks in your jaws, and drag you off with your whole army, your horses, your riders in full, all those shields and bucklers and swords. Fighting men armed to teeth. Persia and Cush and Put will be in the ranks, also well armed as with Gomer and its army, and Beth Togarmah out of the north with its army. Many nations will be with you. Get ready to fight, you and the whole company that's been called out. Take charge and wait for orders. After a long time, you'll be given your orders. In the distant future, you'll arrive at a country that has recovered from a devastating war. People from many nations will be gathered there on the mountains of Israel for a long time now, a wasteland. These people have been brought back from many countries and now live safe and secure. You'll rise like a thunderstorm and roll in the light clouds, cover the land, you and the massed troops with you. Message of God, the Master. At that time, you'll start thinking things over and cook up an evil plot. You'll say, I'm going to invade a country without defenses, attack an unsuspecting, carefree people going about their business. No gates to their cities, no locks on the doors. I'm going to plunder the place, march right in and clean them out. This rebuilt country risen from the ashes. These returned exiles and their booming economies centered down at the navel of the earth. Sheba and Dedan and Tarshish, traders all out to make a fast buck and say, so you open a new market for plunder. You brought in your troops to get rich quick. Therefore, son of man, prophesy, tell Gog a message from God, the Master. When my people Israel are established securely, will you make your move? Will you come down out of the far north, you and that mob of armies, charging out on your horses like a tidal wave across the land and invade my people Israel, covering the country like a cloud? When the time's right, I'll unleash you against my land in such a way that the nations will recognize me. Realize that through you, Gog, in full view of the nations, I am putting my holiness on display. A message of God the Master. Years ago, when I spoke through my servants, the prophets of Israel, wasn't it you I was talking about? Year after year, they prophesied that I would bring you against them. And when the day comes, Gog, you will attack that land of Israel, decree of God the Master. My raging anger will erupt, fueled by blazing jealousy. I tell you that then there will be an earthquake that rocks the land of Israel. Fish and birds and wild animals, even ants and beetles, and every human being will tremble and shake before me. Mountains will disintegrate, terraces will crumble. I'll order all out war against you, Gog, decree of God the Master. Gog, killing Gog on all the mountains of Israel. I'll deluge Gog with judgment, disease, and massacre, torrential rain, and hail, volcanic lava pouring down on you and your mobs of troops and people. I'll show you how great I am, how holy I am. I'll make myself known all over the world, and you realize that I am God. This is the word of the Lord.